Joining us now on the line from New York, New York, Luis Moreno-Ocampo. He is the Chief Prosecutor of the International Criminal Court, and we are glad to have you on TVO tonight. How are you, sir?
Very well, thank you.
Very good. Just before we start, immediately after this program ends, we are showing on TVO a documentary called Prosecutor, and it's all about you. So just before you and I chat, I thought we'd show a clip of that off the top. So, Director Michael Smith, if you would, roll tape.
Child soldiers were exposed to the sexual violence perpetrated by Thomas Lubanga men in unspeakable ways. Mr. President, Your Honors, Thomas Lubanga, he knew he was breaking the basic rule that the world established to protect those with the least power among us, little children. Children are not soldiers. If convicted, Thomas Lubanga's sentence will send a clear message. The era of impunity is ending.
The prosecutor, immediately on following this broadcast. Okay, let's start at the beginning. Why did you take on the job you now have?
The question is difficult. It's different. How I refuse. I was a prosecutor in Argentina. I was involved in the trials against the junta leaders. They ran the country for 7 years. They killed thousands of people. They control everything. Suddenly, in '85, we could prosecute them. And I saw how the country changed.
I read your speech that you gave to the Council on Foreign Relations in Washington a few months ago, and one of the things that struck me in the speech was that you believe that by doing the job that you are doing, bringing international criminals to justice, that you are making the world a more peaceful place, freer of violence. Could you make that argument for us here and explain what you mean by that?
But I'm not saying that. In fact, your Minister of Foreign Affairs in Rome, at Rome in 1998, your Minister of Foreign Affairs said that it was a different way to establish security, not just attacking those who attack me, which is a very primitive way to provide security. The way in which Canada established security inside Canada is protecting everyone. And now we are expanding the same model to the world. But it was not my decision. It was Canada, South America, Africa, Europe, Japan decision. So 120 states decided that. So I did not invent this idea. I'm just implementing this idea.
Okay, fair enough. Then tell us this. What can you do in your capacity as the Chief Prosecutor? What can you do to encourage more countries to cooperate with the court?
They are cooperating. I'm working with Egypt, with Qatar. Look, Security Council referred the Libya case 2 months ago, and it was amazing because China, Russia, US, India, and Lebanon, none of the parties, they decide in 2 days discussion, yes, ICC should intervene. ICC became normal. When I started, it was impossible to think in a Security Council referral. 2 years later, however, Darfur was referred to the court, but it was after 3-month debate, and 4 countries say abstain. They say nothing. Now, in 2011, it was pound. In 10 days, Libya conflict started. They decided to refer the case to the ICC. 2-day discussion, no one objected, and the 15 countries accepted. So it's coming. It's a trend. It's coming. In 20 years, all the world will be part of the Rome system.
You think that's right, that you've got half the countries now. You think you'll get the whole world within a decade or so, eh?
Absolutely. I have no doubt. If not, the world will be like Darfur. The
I
world
see.
need that. The world. We need global governance, but we will not have global government. So, establishing some basic rules, saying no leader can commit genocide to stay in power or to retain power. That is the rule that we need, and we will be established.
Well, all right, let me follow up on that. The fact is that the dictator in Sudan, who is responsible for the mass murder of hundreds of thousands of his people, al-Bashir is still a free man. You haven't brought him to justice. What do you say about that?
No, it's a fugitive. It's a fugitive of justice. And the huge difference is, one ambassador told me, prosecutor, you have to understand how difficult is our job. In the 70s, when in your country, your dictator was committing a crime, we're lobbying Argentina dictatorship to stop to attack people. Now, in Sudan, we have to lobby the government, please send the president to jail. So it's a new environment. Of course it's difficult. But see what happened with Richard Nixon in this country, in the US. After Watergate, he was reelected. He fired the prosecutor. But after a time, he collapsed, he had to resign, and then justice prevailed. So Bashir's destiny is to face justice. It's just a matter of time.
Well, I imagine one of the most difficult aspects of your job is deciding which alleged criminals you want to go after and you can go after. Maybe you could help us understand how you make those decisions.
No, it's easy because it's a matter of law. The Rome Statute defines in detail what I should decide. So it's about just 3 crimes: genocide, crimes against humanity, war crimes, committed after 2002 in the territory of state parties or by national state parties, and should be no national proceedings. So all these criteria are established. I follow that. And then after I open investigations, I had to follow the evidence. And the policy is we are not prosecuting everyone. The crimes are committed by a large number of people, so we select the most responsible to prosecute. So we follow the evidence. So what I do is a judicial determination as any judge, any prosecutor in the world. The difference is after that, different than in Canada, when in Canada a judge decides something, everyone follow. The federal judge says something, Ontario police implemented. Here, it's a little more complicated. Yes, when the judge decides something, some countries follow, some other countries don't follow, so we have to convince them and move them.
Well,
that's why this part...
You've used the word evidence there, and I guess I should follow up on that. Do you have evidence that the way you've run the court has in fact influenced the behavior of states that are members of the criminal court?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh, it's huge.
Okay, what's the evidence?
I can give you different stories. For instance, because we did a case against Thomas Lubanga for child soldiers, in Nepal, a non-state party, they decided to release 3,000 children who were soldiers. In Colombia, they are conducting prosecutions against guerrilla leaders and paramilitary and political leaders to avoid the ICC prosecution is involved. They like to do themselves the cases. In Somalia, in non-state parties, some warlords were threatening each other to present the case before the ICC. All this Bashir campaign is basically fear. Someone, an African person told me, you have to understand, African Union is complicated now because there are at least 10 or 15 presidents in Africa who are afraid of you. And it's good for us, but it's complicated. So that is what's happening. Yes, the court is instilling fear in those who have to have fear.
Okay, let me, you've heard this criticism before, and I want to give you a chance to speak to it, that the court has spent about $1 billion in doing its work. You have opened investigations into 6 situations in Africa, but there are no trials that have been completed yet. And I guess the concern is that it looks like justice is being delayed. It looks like it's taking too long to happen. How would you respond to that?
Look, when I was appointed, a colleague of me at Harvard told me, Luis, reject the offer. I said, why? He said, because it will be a shame for you, because you will be 9 years in The Hague doing nothing and receiving a salary. He said, without US support, you cannot arrest people, you cannot conduct investigation, it will be nothing. And in fact, it's not true. We open investigation in the worst situation in the world. We have 5 prisoners, and the first trial is finishing now. In July, we have the closing arguments, and in September, October will be the final decision. So we're finishing. But we are doing a miracle. We investigate ongoing crimes, massive atrocities, and we transform in small little cases before judges with all the evidence and all the rules, respecting all the disclosure rules and respecting all the right of the defense. So that's what we are doing. And before I leave, I will finish at least 2 trials.
All right, then let me get you to respond to another criticism, which is that all of the trials so far have focused on despots in Africa. And you know the allegation that somehow you are, doing the colonial master's work again by just focusing on Africa. Do you want to speak to that?
But look, if the court was created in the 70s, the court would be working on South America. If the court was created in the 40s, the court would have cases from Europe. A court working in 2010 is working in Africa because 70% of the cases are in Africa. And those cases who are not from Africa, like Lebanon, Burma, Iraq, Zimbabwe, are not state parties, so I cannot intervene there. So it's a legal issue. But it's a political comment. The fact is, none of these critics say my cases are wrong. None of my critics say, oh, this is not a crime against humanity. And then these people are ignoring the victim because they are Africans. The international community ignore Rwanda victims. I will not do that. No one cares about Lubanga victims. I care. I protect these people. I will prosecute Lubanga.
Understood. All right, I want to read you something that one of our authors in this country, a woman named Erna Paris, wrote in Canada's national newspaper, the Globe and Mail, in the first week of May. And she wrote this piece in light of, I guess, the NATO's killing some members of Muammar Gaddafi's family, and now, of course, since then, we've had the execution of bin Laden as well. Here's what she had to say. Extrajudicial assassinations are the antithesis of moral and legal justice as embodied by the post-Cold War international courts that have been breaking ground by prosecuting major perpetrators, all of them founded upon the conviction, first articulated at the Nuremberg trials, that triumphalism and revenge are inimical to long-term peace. Given NATO's intent to assassinate the Libyan strongman, denials to the contrary, will the prosecutor be sidelined by the same countries that gave him a unanimous mandate to investigate crimes in Libya and to effect courtroom justice? I want to know how difficult it is for you to promote the idea of justice when global powers appear prepared to take the law into their own hands.
Very interesting question. First, on bin Laden issue, I have nothing to say because I have no jurisdiction on Pakistan, I have no jurisdiction on US, so it's not my case. On Libya, it's different because Security Council provide to me jurisdiction. And in fact, in the meeting in Security Council, the South Africa ambassador was telling me, you should also check what NATO bombing is doing. And in fact, what I'm doing there is I'm liaising with there's a UN Commission of Inquiry who was visiting Tripoli, and in fact, they were visiting the place where the bombing happened, and they will produce a report. So I will follow the information about that. My mandate includes to do justice in Libya, and I will do that.
Well, let's take it away from the specifics of bin Laden and talk more generally then. Do you, as a chief prosecutor of the ICC, agree with the notion of selected, targeted assassinations of either terrorists or heads of state by Western powers?
I cannot make a comment on this way, but I will tell you something. Nuremberg was created with the idea, the discussion in Nuremberg was what we'll do with the Nazi leaders. Everyone knew they were guilty, but what we'll do with them? And Churchill was proposing to kill them, execute them. And the US was supporting the idea, no, we should do a trial to establish the truth and show we are not taking revenge, it's justice. So, and this is the cornerstone of the idea of international justice. Truth has to be respected, the law has to be respected.
Well, okay, I'm going to try one more time. Is the world a better place now that Osama bin Laden is dead?
You don't stop crimes eliminating one criminal, okay? The criminals are working in organizations. So the world will be a better place when we have all the world defending, respecting the law, as Canada is doing. So when Canada became the model for the world will be better.
So is the assassination of bin Laden breaking the law?
I have told you, I like your insistence, and I will insist in my answer, okay? I can make no opinion on that. It's not my case. Ask a Canadian prosecutor if he cannot make opinion in a case in Germany. They cannot. I cannot.
Okay, I understand. And I like the way you don't blame me for trying anyway, so that's good.
No, I congratulate you.
Let's spend our last few minutes here just talking about your last year on the job, because you've announced that you're going to step down as chief prosecutor next year after, I guess it'll be almost a decade in the job at that point. What would you say you are most proud of in your time as chief prosecutor?
No, it's not. My tenure is 9 years, and it's not renewable. So, and it's very good, because then it's not my office I'm a public servant helping to build an institution. And when I arrive, I have 2 members of the office, 7 floors empty, no case. So basically in 8 years, we put in motion a beautiful idea that now became operational. And as the Libya case show, we are normal now. Imagine, we started 8 years ago, we don't exist, was many people against us, and now we are normal. When the Security Council decided Libya should be investigated, they have no doubt. They say, ICC will do it. That's it. It's like in Canada. If you have a gangster committing crimes, the Prime Minister says, okay, the prosecutor will investigate. The ICC became normal in the world, and that's a huge achievement. Is the end? No, it's the beginning. It's the beginning, but it's a good beginning.
Any regrets on the job?
No, it's very early to regret something. So I think it was very difficult. It was very interesting. It was very challenging, but we are still working. So let me work 1 year more, and then we talk.
Okay. How about this then? Let's finish up on the advice that you will give to your successor when he or she takes over next year.
No, I have no advice. No, I have no advice. I think maybe they can see the Prosecutor, the movie. That would be a good advice, because the movie show well what we are doing. And the movie show, even it's called The Prosecutor, in my picture is there, the movie show we are an office. We are a public office with rules, with people having the chance to give opinions. We make decisions based on law. So we're a legal office, and I think that is what the movie is showing, and I think that is the important thing we are doing. And my successor will show that. We'll keep moving this office in the way it should be moved, respecting the law, taking evidence, presenting to the judges, and protecting civilians, protecting people. And basically, the good thing is small cases or few cases in the court will have global impact, because that's the beauty of this idea, is few cases in the courtroom will impact around the world. That's why it's so interesting.
I think on that last answer, sir, you and I can agree. We both want people to watch this documentary that comes up immediately after this broadcast is over. So that seems like a good place to leave it. Luis Moreno-Ocampo, thank you so much for joining us on TVO tonight, and we look forward to watching you in just a few moments on The Prosecutor. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.